When buyers use their own inspectors. In the previous section, we discussed how agents can help buyers interview inspectors and evaluate their qualifications before hiring them. Despite those recommendations, it is not uncommon for buyers to locate their own inspectors. Buyers may do this because they already know an inspector personally, because a friend or family member recommended one, or because they believe selecting their own inspector helps avoid potential conflicts of interest. Some buyers assume that inspectors recommended by real estate agents may feel obligated to maintain favorable relationships with agents who regularly provide them with business. Because of this perception, some buyers believe that an inspector recommended by an agent may evaluate the property with a kinder eye than an inspector hired independently. This belief has been reinforced by various articles, online resources, inspection company websites, and even video content encouraging buyers to locate their own inspectors. Regardless of the buyer's reasoning, the important responsibility for the real estate professional is to ensure that the buyer selects a qualified and credible inspector. If a buyer insists on using an inspector that the agent or brokerage has never worked with before, the agent should take steps to protect both the buyer and the brokerage. One effective approach is to request written verification of the inspector's professional qualifications. Buyers who unknowingly hire unqualified inspectors sometimes attempt to bring legal claims against their real estate agent for failing to properly advise them regarding the inspection process. Therefore, documenting that the agent attempted to verify the inspector's qualifications and advise the buyer appropriately can be an important factor in avoiding liability. One practical method for addressing this situation is to provide the buyer with a written memo encouraging them to confirm the inspector's qualifications. This memo should include questions that help determine whether the inspector has the appropriate experience, licensing, and professional credentials. For example, the memo may recommend that the buyer ask the inspector the following questions. How long have you been performing property inspections? What qualifications or certifications do you hold as an inspector? Are you insured? Can you provide references from previous clients? What does your inspection cover? How much do you charge for the inspection? May I and my agent be present during the inspection? Providing these questions helps demonstrate that the agent has taken steps to ensure the buyer selects a competent professional. In addition to recommending that the buyer verify the inspector's qualifications, the written memo should also include language clarifying that the buyer's decision to use an unfamiliar inspector releases the agent and brokerage from responsibility for the inspector's work. For example, the memo may include language similar to the following. As your purchasing agent for the property located at property address, I have recommended that you obtain a qualified professional property inspector. Because you have chosen to use an inspector that my brokerage is not familiar with, you acknowledge that you release this agent and the brokerage from any liability regarding the quality or accuracy of the inspection performed. Providing written documentation such as this memo demonstrates that the agent has acted responsibly and has taken steps to protect the client's interests. Email communication can also serve as valuable documentation. Because email creates a written record, it can be used to demonstrate that the agent communicated important recommendations and that the buyer acknowledged receiving that information. For example, if the buyer replies to the email acknowledging the recommendation, that response confirms that the buyer received and understood the agent's advice regarding the inspection process. The most effective inspections. There are many factors that influence whether a property inspection is effective or ineffective. While real estate professionals cannot control the actions of the inspector or the buyer, there are several practices that agents can follow to help ensure that the inspection process is productive and informative. One of the most important steps is ensuring that at least one of the buyers is present during the inspection. If the buyer cannot attend the inspection due to scheduling conflicts, the inspection should be rescheduled whenever possible. The buyer's presence is essential because the inspection provides a valuable opportunity to learn about the property's condition directly from the inspector. Buyers should also be encouraged to communicate directly with the inspector. Agents should avoid positioning themselves as the primary point of contact between the buyer and the inspector. In some disputes, buyers have claimed that their agent minimized or misrepresented issues discovered during the inspection. Allowing the buyer to interact directly with the inspector helps eliminate this possibility and ensures that the buyer receives information firsthand. The seller should also be encouraged to attend the inspection when appropriate. The seller may be able to answer questions about previous repairs, maintenance issues, or improvements that have been made to the property. The seller's presence may also help clarify issues that arise during the inspection. Additionally, the inspection may remind the seller of issues that were overlooked when completing the seller's property disclosure statement, SPDS. Addressing these issues during the inspection can help prevent misunderstandings later in the transaction. Both the buyer's agent and the seller's agent should also attend the inspection when possible. If you are representing the buyer, you should take notes during the inspection regarding important observations made by the inspector. These notes may include significant findings, questions asked by the buyer, responses provided by the inspector, and any issues that require further evaluation. In particular, agents should note items that the inspector describes as being in fair, poor, or inadequate condition, especially if those descriptions lack detailed explanations. Clear documentation helps the buyer better understand the inspector's findings and may assist during negotiations if repairs or contract modifications are requested. It is also important that the inspector be allowed to perform their job without interference. Agents should avoid attempting to perform the inspection themselves or interrupting the inspector's process. The role of the agent during the inspection is to observe, assist with communication, and take notes. Finally, minimizing distractions during the inspection helps ensure that the process remains focused and productive. Buyers and sellers should be encouraged to limit the number of individuals attending the inspection. Friends, neighbors, and extended family members may unintentionally create distractions that interfere with the inspection process. If possible, arrangements should be made so that young children are not present during the inspection. Maintaining a focused environment allows the inspector to work efficiently and ensures that important details are not overlooked. Online discussion. Why should agents document their recommendations when buyers choose their own inspectors? Answer. Documentation helps demonstrate that the agent properly advised the buyer regarding the importance of hiring a qualified inspector and may help protect the agent from liability if the inspection is inadequate. Why should buyers attend the property inspection whenever possible? Answer. Attending the inspection allows buyers to hear the inspector's findings directly, ask questions, and gain a better understanding of the property's condition. Why should agents avoid acting as the middle person between the buyer and the inspector? Answer. Direct communication between the buyer and inspector helps prevent misunderstandings and reduces the risk that buyers may later claim information was misrepresented.